What's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life, and this is big news right here. This is big news for Verizon and for AT&T, but more so Verizon in my opinion. So if you guys have been following the channel for some time now, I've made videos in the past. Not on all of them I stated this, but on some. I said that, yes, T-Mobile has the spectrum advantage, licensed spectrum advantage for now. They got the band 41 that they wanted from Sprint. They've purchased up most of the band 71 at the auction, so they got the low band issue fixed. Now they have 319 megahertz of total spectrum after the merger closed. And of course, that put AT&T and Verizon at a disadvantage. But if you noticed, they weren't really against the merger. They didn't really panic because they knew. I told you guys this in the videos as well. I said additional spectrum would become available over time. 6 months in the wireless industry is a very long time. A lot can happen. As you guys can see now, we've had CBRS come available, which is being auctioned away right now. This is the quiet period. We now have the DoD releasing another 100 megahertz of mid-band for 5G this summer. Then we have C-band. So that is going to be a total of 530 megahertz of mid-band spectrum ranging from 3.4 to 3.9. That is a very high capacity network that Verizon and AT&T are going to be able to build that has similar range compared to T-Mobile. People have argued that 2.5 has the range. Verizon and AT&T can't match it. Well, now that is not that rumor claim is going to be over, because now the government, the FCC, is finally opening up spectrum. Could this have been a power play of AT&T and Verizon's? Did they perhaps know that this spectrum would become available around this time, as to why they didn't really push to have the merger, to have any big say so in the merger, and they kind of just remained quiet and they let it go through and let it get approved? Could this be the play that they knew that this spectrum was going to come? 530 megahertz of mid-band spectrum is a lot of spectrum, and AT&T and Verizon are the players that have the money to fund for this spectrum. Now, of course, T-Mobile could potentially participate in this as well, but the recent debt that they gained from Sprint that they still have to pay down, and all the additional investment that's going into the integration process, they're not necessarily as freely able to invest in additional spectrum. So if they do invest, I think they do it very little. But in my opinion, I believe they don't participate. I think they're going to be absent from these 3 spectrum auctions. That's CBRS, this spectrum that's going to become available, and C-band. I don't think they participate in any of those auctions. And if they do, it's going to be at very low levels, 20, 30 megahertz. And that's a big maybe. I think that's a big maybe, because they have so much money to invest on their capital investment, just expanding the network. Remember, they are far behind on a larger scale. They are now a big player. We have to hold them accountable. They're not the smaller carrier anymore. They are now a big player. They're marketing as such. They just stated that they are now the number 2 wireless carrier. They are now a big player. We have to hold them accountable. If they're going to spend $7 to $8 billion less on a yearly basis compared to the competition that are spending $7 billion more, that are investing in these spectrum auctions, and that are building out the densification to match the grid with the frequency that's being put on the towers, that's going to make it a very competitive race here. T-Mobile is overlaying the network as we speak. It's happening. Neville said 700 2.5 sites are being touched every week. Verizon and AT&T are well aware of that. They knew this would happen months and months and months prior to the merger being approved. They had a plan. They had a strategy. Verizon's clear strategy was millimeter wave. AT&T strategy was their spectrum position. They're going up to sites. The sites are going from 2 spectrum bands to 7. So of course they're noticing a huge increase in speed. They're boosting the backhaul. They're going from 2 to 7 carriers. That's their strategy. Of course, they're kind of tied in with that FirstNet contract, so they got to expand the network. But for now, as they are expanding the network, their focus is not necessarily all over the place, but AT&T is doing a little bit of everything. So there's not really one focus to one part of the strategy. So their focus is, they're doing millimeter wave, they're doing mid-band, low-band 5G, and they're doing a coverage expansion. Verizon right now, you could say their capital investment is mostly going towards millimeter wave, and then this auction, they will bring the money bags. Don't get me wrong. Once they bring those money bags, they are going to invest very heavy, perhaps an increase in capital spending to push the network and get this network upgraded to take advantage of CBRS, C-band, and this new spectrum. So again, this is big, more so for Verizon than AT&T. Let me just state that now. AT&T will participate. I can feel it. I know they will, but they will not buy as much spectrum as Verizon. There's no need to. They have more now. I think AT&T will be solid and happy if they get between 100 and 150 megahertz out of all of that total spectrum that's there, that 500 and 530 megahertz. I think they will feel comfortable with 100 to 150 megahertz because they still have a lot of debt out there as well that they have to pay down. So they don't have necessarily as much money put aside for a heavy investment in the auction. But I think they do feel comfortable with securing around 100 to 150 megahertz to effectively compete on the 5G race. And then if there is additional millimeter wave in the future, I think to level the playing field, AT&T does invest in that auction to gain more millimeter wave spectrum in the future. So again, let me know what you think about this. I will leave this article in the description down below so you guys can check it out. Leave all your comments in the comment section down below. I look forward to reading them. And if you have been on the channel, you can go ahead and end this video now. But if you are new to the channel and you want more updates like this, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you are notified when I do upload this content. And also make sure you hit the notification bell on both YouTube and my Twitter. I will leave my Twitter handle in the description down below. So you guys have 2 platforms to get the notifications when the videos do go live. And this is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.